The year is 1869, Louisiana. A man named Merton is running for his life through a forest, a huge iron collar strapped around his neck. Attached to this collar is a terrifying blade that slices through everything in its path. Merton mutters something about reporting to a joint spider and the president. But it's too late. The blade catches up to him, and in a flash, his head is separated from his body. Shortly after, the ruthless General McGrath arrives, laughing mockingly at the gruesome sight. Not far from there, a charismatic man named Captain James West is enjoying some quality time with a beautiful woman inside a water tank. Their rendezvous is cut short by noises from outside. Peeking through a crack, James sees McGrath's men marching into town, forcing iron collars onto the terrified locals. The woman tries to get his attention back, but at that exact moment, a group of spooked horses crashes into the water tower. The entire structure collapses, and James, completely unclothed, tumbles down right in front of McGrath's thugs. After a moment of stunned silence, the thugs start jeering, but they've picked the wrong guy. With lightning-fast reflexes, James breaks their bones one by one. Managing to get dressed while fighting, he gives the girl a quick kiss, grabs a rope, and swings down onto the thug's wagon. Opening a box, he's shocked to find it packed with petrol bombs. Thinking fast, James leaps onto the lead horse, taking control of the wagon. Meanwhile, in another part of town, we meet Marshal Arliss Gordon, a master of disguise. Dressed as a woman, he's trying to get close to General McGrath at a fancy gathering. When a handsy man tries to get fresh, Gordon uses a hidden device in his dress to deliver a powerful punch. His disguise is so convincing that McGrath himself singles him out. But another man, completely smitten with Gordon's alter ego, tries to pull her away. McGrath doesn't hesitate. He shoots the man dead on the spot. Back with James, the horses are about to plunge off a cliff. With sheer strength, he manages to stop them just in the nick of time. He spots McGrath in a nearby building and begins to climb it. Inside, Gordon has successfully hypnotized McGrath. He demands to know who ordered him to kidnap a scientist named Escobar. But just as he's about to get the answer, his hypnotic device fails. Gordon pulls out a knife, but at that very second, James smashes through the window, tackling McGrath. James is about to shoot him, but Gordon stops him, insisting they need McGrath alive. Seizing the opportunity, McGrath shoves James into a wall and makes a run for it. James chases him into the main hall, where a full-blown brawl erupts with McGrath's men. Amidst the chaos, Gordon spots a group of thieves escaping with the captive scientist, Escobar. He tries to stop them, but James, still fighting, accidentally bumps into him. Mistaking each other for enemies, the two agents start fighting, giving the real villains the perfect chance to escape. Our story then introduces the true mastermind, a dangerous scientist named Dr. Arliss Loveless. He's missing the lower half of his body and gets around in a steam-powered wheelchair. He orders his guard to read the lips of people in the building. Through this, he learns that James and Gordon are government agents. He confirms that his men have successfully secured Escobar and then, with a wicked smile, pushes a wagon full of petrol bombs towards the building, causing a massive explosion. A few days later, James is summoned to the president's office. As he walks in, he senses something is off. He realizes the man sitting at the desk is not the real president. The imposter denies it, but James fires a bullet into the ceiling, which is enough to make the man confess. He pulls off his disguise, revealing he is none other than Arliss Gordon. Just then, the real President Grant walks in. He tells them they are his best agents and that they must work together. He leads them to a secret room and explains the dire situation. General McGrath has kidnapped all of America's greatest scientists. He sent a note demanding the president's resignation within a week, threatening to use the scientists to build a weapon of unimaginable power. James and Gordon both agree that McGrath, while a trained killer, isn't smart enough to pull this off alone. They suspect a bigger mastermind is pulling the strings. The president orders them to find this mastermind and gives them 1 week, providing them with a high-tech, custom-built train for their mission. Gordon, ever the showman, arrives at the train first on his unique steam-powered motorcycle and takes off without James. Undeterred, James gives chase on horseback, making a daring leap onto the moving train. But, as he lands, a hidden trapdoor opens, dropping him inside. The moment they're together, the bickering starts. In a fit of anger, James punches Gordon. In retaliation, Gordon activates a hidden device that sends a massive hammer flying at James, knocking him onto a pool table. The table flips over, trapping him upside down with ropes, dangling him dangerously close to the moving tracks below. Not to be outdone, James pulls a chain that flips Gordon's own chair upside down. Hanging there, they finally, begrudgingly agree to work together, but only for the president. They decide to start their investigation with the murder of the first agent, Merton. Gordon connects Merton's severed head to a machine that can project the last image a person saw before they died. The image that appears is the face of General McGrath. They also find an invitation in McGrath's pocket for a costume party in New Orleans. That's their next destination. On the night of the party, James infiltrates the building. When a guard tries to stop him, 1 punch is all it takes to knock him out. He slips in through a window and is greeted by Miss East, Dr. Arliss's personal assistant. She gives him a tour, and James spots Gordon, once again in a clever disguise, mingling with the crowd. A grand show begins, and a massive statue of Abraham Lincoln is rolled into the room. Suddenly, it explodes, and from the wreckage emerges Dr. Arliss himself. The sight of him, alive and seemingly unharmed despite his missing body parts, shocks everyone. James approaches Arliss and asks about McGrath, but Arliss plays dumb, pretending he's never heard the name. Meanwhile, Gordon notices some of the dancers from the show sneaking away, followed by a woman's scream. Elsewhere, James has found a hiding spot and overhears Arliss secretly meeting with McGrath. McGrath is furious that his weapons were destroyed in James's earlier attack. Arliss calms him down, showing him a map and promising a new shipment of weapons by the river. After they leave, James sneaks into the office and makes a tracing of the markings on the map. But he's interrupted by Miss East. She tries to seduce him, pressing him against the wall for a kiss. Just then, a painting on the wall moves. A guard is hiding behind it. He points his gun at James, but as he fires, Miss East is caught in the crossfire. Enraged, James takes out all the guards hidden behind the paintings and escapes. He heads back to the main party floor and starts dancing with a woman he assumes is Gordon in another elaborate disguise. He whispers everything he's discovered to her, and then, thinking her large bust is just part of Gordon's costume, he places his hands on her chest and praises Gordon for growing such perfect melons. The woman, horrified, slaps him hard. At that exact moment, the real Gordon emerges from the crowd, pointing at James and shouting that he's a disgusting man who deserves to be hanged. The angry crowd grabs James and begins to drag him outside, his mission on the verge of complete disaster. Gordon breaks down the door and finds a girl named Rita trapped in a cage. Using his special device, he frees her. Outside, James is trying to calm an angry crowd with some wild talk. He even tells a woman he's not joking and asks her to marry him. Just then, Gordon and Rita zoom in with a buggy to rescue him. James leaps from the platform, landing perfectly in the buggy as they speed away. Rita reveals she's not a dancer, but the daughter of a scientist named Escobar, and she's secretly looking for her father. Meanwhile, by the river, Arliss and McGrath are plotting. McGrath's soldiers are eagerly waiting for his command when a massive steam-powered tank appears. They cheer, thinking it's their new super weapon. But then, the tank opens fire, wiping out all the soldiers. A shocked McGrath yells at Arliss, asking why he betrayed him. Arliss coldly explains it's revenge for being abandoned in a battle where he lost half his body. McGrath pulls his gun, but Arliss is quicker, shooting him from his wheelchair. Arliss then orders his men to transport 1,000 kilos of gold to a place called Spider Canyon, where he'll unveil his greatest weapon. When Rita, James, and Gordon arrive, they find a scene of carnage, with Arliss nowhere in sight. James recalls a tragedy in a place called New Liberty, where a similar weapon massacred everyone, including children. Suddenly, they hear a noise from the water. That's McGrath, barely alive. James accuses him of the New Liberty massacre, but McGrath reveals he was framed. The true mastermind was Arliss. With his last breath, he dies. Rita then says she overheard Arliss's destination at the mansion, but will only tell them if they take her along. They agree, and she reveals he's heading to Utah. Hearing this, James and Gordon jump onto a departing train, leaving Rita behind. But she's not one to give up. She runs and sneaks aboard through the same hidden door James used earlier. The next morning, Gordon notices James has cleverly fitted a knife into his shoe. They soon catch up to Arliss's train. But as they enter a tunnel, Arliss's train just vanishes. They're baffled. Unbeknownst to them, Arliss's train has deployed special beams, lifting itself off the tracks. James and Gordon's train passes right underneath. As they exit the tunnel, Arliss opens fire from behind. James slides down to the tracks using a rope from a pool table, but it snaps, and he tumbles onto the rails. He manages to tie the rope to Arliss's train and climbs up. As he peeks through the chimney, a guard attacks him. After a brief fight, James uses his shoe knife to finish the guard and drops the body down the chimney. Arliss had connected the two trains with a clamp. The body in the boiler causes an explosion, bringing both trains to a screeching halt. Arliss boards their train as Rita and Gordon hide. James arrives, but Rita accidentally sets off a sleep gas bomb, and all three of them pass out. When James and Gordon wake up, they're on the ground, wearing iron collars and surrounded by metal wires. Arliss mocks them, takes Rita, and leaves in their train. Gordon finds a note in his pocket warning them to stay inside the wire circle to live. James, ever the skeptic, steps out to test it. Instantly, a machine activates, sending two giant spinning blades hurtling toward them. Gordon shouts that the corner magnets powering them won't lose energy for 400 years. They sprint into a field, face each other, and just as the blades close in, they dive. The blades collide and shatter, but our heroes fall straight into a pit of dung. Later, while arguing, Gordon angrily throws a stone at James, but it hits his collar, activating a magnetic force. The two collars snap together. They try to run in opposite directions, but are violently pulled back. After tumbling down a hill, they land in a river. Gordon is ecstatic. He finds his toolkit underwater. They remove the collars, and James builds a fire. He shares a story from his childhood. Born into slavery, he escaped and was raised by Native Americans. When he returned, his family was gone, killed in a massacre. As he speaks, a strange bee snatches a spider right in front of them, an image that sticks in Gordon's mind. The next morning, as they wander the desert, Gordon's collar is suddenly pulled forward. It's reacting to Arliss's hidden railway. They follow the tracks and finally reach Spider Canyon. There, Arliss has built an entire town, and in the center stands his ultimate weapon, a colossal mechanical spider. They sneak onto their reclaimed train, where James changes and arms himself. That bee and spider incident gives Gordon an idea. He decides to build a flying machine based on Da Vinci's designs. James protests, arguing they have no time. Meanwhile, President Grant is at an inauguration ceremony when the ground shakes violently. The giant spider erupts from the earth, causing mass panic. Arliss blows up a train for good measure. On stage, a figure appears, claiming to be the real president. It's Gordon in disguise. At the same time, James begins his climb up the giant spider. Arliss, confused, tries to trap both Grants in a web. A guard spots James and starts shooting. Back at his base, Arliss announces his grand plan. He will carve up America and sell the pieces to the highest bidders, keeping a slice for himself. James wakes up, surprised to be alive. He heads back to the train and finds a tiny gun hidden in a belt. Seeing Gordon's costumes gives him an idea. At Arliss's base, the real President Grant refuses to surrender. Arliss prepares to execute the fake Grant Gordon, but then a beautiful dancer appears. It's James in disguise. He distracts Arliss with his seductive moves, snatches the keys, and tosses them to Gordon. Gordon frees himself just as James accidentally activates the flamethrowers hidden in his bra, spraying fire everywhere. James uses the flames to torch Arliss's men. Arliss grabs the real Grant and retreats into the spider. As more soldiers rush in, James throws a bomb, causing a massive explosion. Meanwhile, Rita frees all the kidnapped scientists and leads them to safety. James urges Gordon to finish the flying machine. As they prepare to leave, the train conductor hands them bombs and reveals he is an undercover agent sent by the president to watch over them. James and Gordon take their new flying machine and leap off a cliff. For a heart-stopping moment, it looks like they're going to crash, but then the wings catch the air, and they soar. Arliss has reached a nearby town and started his rampage. But our heroes arrive in their flying machine, dropping bombs from above. Arliss fires back, and their machine crashes into the spider. They're captured and brought before Arliss. James taunts Arliss, who responds by dropping him into a lower arena to face a warrior with blades for hands. 2 more fighters join the fray. James fights valiantly, using chains to toss one away, throwing another into the engine, and smacking the third with a shovel. Then, a man with metal skin appears, impervious to every attack. Just as he's about to throw James off the spider, his internal electronics malfunction, and he falls instead. James confronts Arliss, who stands on his mechanical legs. They fight, and Arliss gains the upper hand. Gordon fires the tiny gun, but misses. Arliss laughs, then realizes the bullet hit his mechanical leg, immobilizing him. Gordon and James defeat the remaining guards. President Grant sees the spider is teetering on the edge of a cliff. Gordon tries to stop it, but fails. Arliss, back in his chair, fires his secret weapon, but hits the spider's controls instead, bringing it to a halt right at the precipice. Suddenly, Arliss and James both slip. James grabs onto Arliss's wheelchair. Arliss keeps ranting about his plans, so James pulls a lever on the chair, sending Arliss plummeting into the canyon below. James hangs onto a chain and saves himself. Later, President Grant announces the formation of a new agency to protect him, the Secret Service, with James and Gordon as its first agents. Rita thanks them and drops a bombshell. Escobar wasn't her father, he was her husband. Both men are stunned. Rita smiles and walks away. James and Gordon look at each other, then climb aboard the giant spider and ride off into the sunset. If you enjoyed this recap, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.